this time. Martin Odegaard.
Zinchenko from Ketchia. It's 4. Martinelli tiptoeing in. Predatory, perfect. There is a gorgeous arrogance about Arsenal now.
It really is. They are enjoying every second of this.
Hello and welcome to Not Another Arsenal Podcast, aka the Carl Jenkinson of Arsenal Podcast. My name is Mike Hers, your host. And today, boys, we're going to chat and we're going to critique a friendly as if it's a quarterfinal of the Champions League. And we are going to lay into our players, every last one of them, who needs to be sold, who needs to be dropped and benched, who needs to play with the U21s, all that shenanigans that Arsenal fans tend to do during a simple friendly, aka fitness test during the summer. We're gonna chat about that, and of course, you guys might have heard of about a few incomings. One confirmed, one pretty much imminent. Although it does feel like it's been imminent for roughly a month and a half at this point, but we're chipping away. It's gonna happen. Everybody's gonna do the Gyokeres Bane thing. It's going to happen. It's just around the corner, and you love to see it. Live chat's already active there. The Bearded Gunner, BX, Jordan, thank you so much for joining, guys. First and foremost, as always, the introductions. Chris, welcome back, Chris.
Hey, boys. How you doing? I mean, the season started, right? Like, preseason's here. Arsenal's back. Lots of great transfer talk and transfer activity is, I think, led to a lot of anticipation of this season. And it was good to get a first look. I noticed that Tanner's in the chat. Tanner, you have a guy who's trying to impersonate you on TikTok. His name is the Big Bearded Gunner, and he looks a bit like he could be your brother. I would go check him out. Like, you might need to send him a cease and desist letter, but I digress. It's good to be here. Kelly's not here because it's his birthday. Nice to see you, Ryan. Good to have you on the show. And it'll be fun to unpack actual like footy as opposed to just bullshit like transfers. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, absolutely. As I switch between my windows. And speaking about a good friend, the replacement to our good friend Kelly is the one, the only Ars Bros, Ryan. This man and I, we keep in constant contact throughout the entire season. We text back and forth. This man is so kind to invite me onto his podcast occasionally, and here I am being the douche that I am. Never invited him on. I'm like, dude, this is a perfect opportunity. We got to get this man on, have his say, especially because he has the hottest take regarding Ethan Maneri and Noni, and we're like, why not? Tonight is a great night to get this ball rolling. Ryan, welcome on the show, my friend.
Is this a joke? Oh, well, okay. So I have been on the show. So I have been on the show before, and what's funny is the last time I was on this show, Mike introduced me as if I've never been on the show, and I was like, "Oh, this is awkward. I guess I'll just play it off." But yeah, I'm whatever. It's fine. I haven't been on in a while. It's easy to forget a face like this. I don't know. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I may have a couple interesting takes about one area, a couple interesting takes about the game. Like you guys said, I'm very excited to get into it. You know, it's actual football to like analyze instead of just transfers and rumors and thing in hearsay that is just like, you know, we don't even know which end is up sometimes. So definitely excited to talk about the team and to talk about forgotten players that need to be in the starting 11 come week 1.
Wow, I feel some hot takes coming on.
I don't know. That was a bold prediction. By the way, full disclosure, Ryan, I kid you not, because my memory, and Chris could testify on this, because I'll forget things that happen in game week 2 come game week 5. My horrible memory. I swear to you, as I was introducing you, like 3 times I flirted with saying making his debut. And I was like, I'm pretty sure this isn't his debut on the podcast.
Yeah.
Mike's lying. He actually has a great memory. It's just he doesn't remember you being on the pod, Ryan.
That's fine. No, that's fine. To me, that's actually a good thing. So it's going to be tough shoes to fill with Kelly celebrating his birthday. I hear he's currently double fisting cigars. So all the best.
Like something he would do.
Yeah.
Yeah, one hand cigar, the other one with the beer for sure. But no, let's roll into this, boys. We're going to talk about first one that was rumored, and we spoke about him briefly in the last podcast, but absolutely confirmed by the club this time around. Photo shoot, despite a Getty image being leaked about a week ago, and the poor guy's let's call it a soft launch, was Christian Mosquera. He's officially a Gunnar, and he's a right-sided center back. Chris, what do you think this is going to mean? Like, I'm interested to see what this means as far as the potential rotation and if it's going to actually be a thing that actually dips his hands into his bench and actually makes some changes. Because as we know, the last few seasons it's been difficult. Saliba and Gabriel pretty much play every single game possible, and you can make the argument is that we didn't have the depth, and now we're bringing in targets. He's a player with 40, 50 appearances in La Liga already, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
He has experience. He has experience in the first division. I know it's not England, but I mean, if there was ever an opportunity to give Arteta the opportunity to actually rotate Saliba or Gabriel out, this is it, man. So how excited are you that we finally got another center back to add to the fold?
Yeah, sometimes the best way to understand the player you're getting beyond watching comps or watching games is to look at the reaction of the fans that are having to lose him. And there was quite a funny thread on X today, which was not even a thread. It was the response to the official comunicado from the club he was coming from in Spain, with all the fans losing their shit in the comments, calling the club's executives negligent and not caring about the club, and how can you get rid of a player that's so good for 15 million? They weren't even mad at Arsenal. They weren't even mad at the player. They were mad at the club because they know that this guy is a talent. And so, right there, I think, while their club isn't necessarily at the same level as Arsenal, when a club of that stature loses one of their better players, regardless of the fact that he's 20 years old, I think that tells you a lot about the caliber of the player that you're getting. In terms of the player himself, I think I said this last time, but I watched a few comps. He looks quite the player. He's 20 years old, but he plays much older than that. He's quick. He loves a stand-up tackle. He's good on the ball. He looks like he's going to fit right in terms of what we need from a stylistic perspective. Now, obviously, being 20 years old, he still has a lot to learn. He's playing behind maybe the best center back in the world in William Saliba. But I think when you think about the business side of this, it's a lot like what Liverpool have done with what they're trying to do, trying to safeguard their future in some of the selections they've chosen this summer. Perhaps not quite at the same level, but I think in addition to having backup for Saliba, which you didn't have last year, which I think is really important if we're going to protect his health and make sure that he's playing at his best for as much of the season as possible, is that we're future-proofing that spot in case Real Madrid really comes in and does their thing and decides to turn his head. We've got somebody waiting in the wings that, in theory, will be ready in a couple of years to take over the mantle. So, yeah, I like the business. 15 million. If he's a flop, it's 15 million. It's a Sambi Lakonga. But if he's as good as everybody's projecting him to be, I'm not saying he's the next William Saliba, but I am saying that he is a very, I think, capable, or can be a very capable Premier League defender with a lot of room to grow. So I'm really excited about that one.
Yes, probably one of the best ways to judge a player is kind of by the reaction of their ex-fans. And, it's the beautiful thing about the internet is that it leaves receipts. And I'm just going to, the Noni thing, just because I like poking fun at Ryan about it. But a lot of the Chelsea fans are just saying, we hosed Arsenal, we took advantage of them. They paid us for a player we didn't want. And then if you backtrack to a lot of the compilations and asking who's been one of their better players or one of their more consistent players, it's a ton of them saying Noni. So the fact that you had a official club tweet have their own fans just tearing apart the club for selling said player, it says a lot of good things about them. And I will say this, I don't know if this it came across my timeline and not your timeline. I didn't see it all over the place, but I did see a tweet saying that Arsenal are making advancements in this William Saliba contract extension. So I don't know if you guys seen that one, but I was kind of surprised, but hey, if that's true, Ryan, how thrilled are we the fact that we're just safeguarding his transfer value and safeguarding his short-term and slightly long-term future at the club.
Yeah, so it's funny. The bearded gooner is someone also in Chris's camp talking about, oh, this is for when Saliba leaves for Real Madrid. I don't buy it. I think he is just depth. He's backup. He's very similar to Saliba. He's great standing tackle, like Chris said. He's terrible in the air, which funny enough, just like Saliba. Great with ball recoveries. He doesn't commit a lot of fouls, which is interesting given the fact that he's in the 96th percentile in ball recoveries, and he's just such a good tackler. And he's really good at progressing the ball, which is something that Saliba does. So I really like the profile of a player, and it's funny, a couple seasons ago, or maybe 3 or 4, when we bought Kivior, and it was very similar. He had a similar profile. I think he had more of a similar profile again to Saliba, but he is kind of backing up Gabriel, and he's still kind of raw, and you've seen that in multiple games. But last season he kind of in a way came good and was playing a lot better. And I think Mosquera is going to be no different. I think he may struggle at times, but I think given the right tutelage, which to me I think Arteta is as good as it gets, I think he's going to be a real player, and he's going to be a real contender for this team. And I don't want him to replace Saliba.
I don't either. Believe me.
No, I know. But I mean, like, injuries do happen, and knocking on wood, and we have a lot of games. And I think that's something that Mike has stressed across multiple platforms. This is Arteta's chance to rotate, which is something he doesn't really do. I mean, in ways he does, but he rotates the same players. Like, this is a chance to really kind of like spread your wings and fly. And I think with this kind of transfer window, which kind of we'll be kind of going through tonight a little bit, not too much because we have a game to talk about, but it really shows that I think Arteta is trying to get the squad up to the point where we could compete for not 1 trophy, not 2 trophies, but 4 trophies. And I think Mosquera is just a perfect signing for us, and something that we could look forward to in probably cup competitions. But honestly, at this point, it's a good signing.
You said something really important there, Ryan, which is that we've got a good environment to bring him into. I noticed that in all the interviews they've been doing with him, that he's spoken explicitly and exclusively in Spanish, which tells me that he probably doesn't yet speak English. And we know how a lot of players will come to England and they'll want to learn it because it's easier to converse. And I think he probably will do that. But in the interim, I think communication is so important, development is so important. If you can't communicate, it's really hard to play the game at the max level. I think he's coming into a squad that has 5 Spanish players. So he's got a contingent around him. Many of them are very veteran as well. You think about Zubamendi, Marino, Kepa, Raya, and you've got obviously the coaching staff and Arteta, and the new guy that came in from Argentina, and so forth and so on, right? You've got a huge support system here for a guy who's coming from Spain, doesn't know England from left, right, or center, doesn't speak the language, and I think that's going to be a help. That's going to maximize his on-ramp into English football. So I think that's a real plus that I don't know he would get from other clubs in England. Don't
forget our most important Spanish player, Martin Odegaard. I don't know if a lot of you seen, anyone in the chat seen the video of Zubamendi, his behind the scenes first days at Arsenal. Odegaard is on video talking to him in Spanish. I thought that was like it took me back, and it's very, very surprising. But then I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, he played in La Liga. Like,
this is a little known fact.
So weird.
Martin Odegaard's first name is actually Martinez. So
there you go. I love that.
Mike's on mute, of course.
No, I'm just like generally I'm looking to see how many years he was in Spain, and then it's kind of going to judge how fluent he is in Spanish. And then you said the Martinez thing, and I immediately now I got to go to Wikipedia. I don't know if Chris is bullshitting or not. I literally don't know. So.
Oh, come on, man. That's clearly fake.
It's Martin. His name is Martin.
I do Martin. You got to say it like that. So
all right, roll my R.
add the extra Spaniard in there. I like it.
Also, really quick to Mike's point about how the fans are really upset with the player, and the club is also very upset. I don't know if you guys have read their post about him leaving, and it talks about Valencia and Arsenal have agreed for Mosquera to join. This decision responds to the desire expressed clearly and unequivocally by the player, who has expressed his willingness not to renew the contractual link with Valencia FC and to end up exclusively with Arsenal FC. So they're saying like, hey guys, we tried, and he did not want to stay here. So boo this man, boo him, boo him, boo him.
Boo this man.
So I thought that was I don't know if I've seen a statement prepared like that. I'm sure
a club. Yeah, you're absolutely right, because there was plenty of reports suggesting that he did it. He rejected like 2 contract renewals and was like, no, I'm hell bent that I'm going to go play for the Arsenal. But it's been a while, if ever, to your point, Ryan, in which a club actually says, listen, we tried. This fucko just didn't want to be here.
Honestly, yeah, they pretty much called him a fucko.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking about fuckos that didn't want to be there, let's talk about Victor Gyokeres, boys. I mean, this man, what's the laundry list here? Took a pay cut.
What a segue, Mike. What a segue, by the way.
Yeah, segue for you. Allegedly dumped his girlfriend because, fucking transportation doesn't exist. And that's a story that I choose to believe on Twitter. This man's done everything possible. I mean, to the last week, there was like reports and small rumors suggesting that he even was like sending legal letters to Sporting. Like he was really holding them down to that 70 million valuation. And in hindsight, I will say this, and Chris, that I'm not huge on the transfer fees and like I don't pay too much attention, but it does look like a deal when Chelsea think they're going to get 100 for Jackson, and what is Liverpool deal climbing up to 90 million, if I'm not mistaken. I said Chris. I'm going to let Ryan go. Ekitike, yeah.
Yeah, it's something around that. 90 million euros.
Yeah, and then, you got the rumor Isak thing that we're going to talk about very briefly, and you just like, holy crap, dude. It's 70 million for a striker that scored this amount of goals in the last few seasons. It's pretty remarkable considering the window that we're having right now at the moment. But Victor Gyokeres is all but confirmed. Imminent, one would say, hence the name of the podcast. Thank you, Chris. How are you feeling about this overall, Ryan? And talk to me about what do you think the conversion rate is going to be? Because I had the wildest conversation today in a specific group that I'm in which they suggested that he could easily score 39 goals that he scored for Sporting. And listen, guys, I'm hyped as much as the next Arsenal supporter. But I went ahead and I Google searched that, or ChatGPT'd it, should I say. Nobody's fucking done it. Nobody, like literally the closest was Haaland his first season, and he scored 36. So I think the suggestion that he's going to hit the ground running that hard, I'm like, you're guaranteeing La Liga. Imagine that. You're guaranteeing like a Champions League or the English Premier League if he's scoring 39 goals is what I'm speculating, but I just don't see it. Abreu says scoring 19. He's been scoring 19 since he was. Oh, sorry. He's been scoring goals since he was 19. I'm so sorry, Abreu. I don't see that massive conversion, but I am very hopeful that we get our first striker since Aubameyang to score 20 goals. So how are you feeling about the Gyokeres inclusion, the push that he made? How are you feeling about the deal?
I'm excited just based on the fact that, like you said, he did all these things to get here. He saw this as a big opportunity, and I think this is a huge opportunity for him, kind of breaking records. And it's, it's kind of tainted a little bit because everyone's like, he did in the Portuguese league. Who cares? And I don't know I think they have like a universal golden boot. I don't know what it's called. Maybe it might be just called the golden boot. And like, he didn't win because of like, if you're in the top 5 European leagues, you get like times a goal and a half. But if you're not, it's just every goal counts as 1 goal. And he lost to Salah because of he's in the Premier League. But yeah, no, I mean, it's obviously, I think you got to have reservations. Yeah. And I hate, bringing leagues into this, but you have to bring opposition into this. I mean, you can only do what you can against a team that's put in front of you. But it's going to be interesting, because he was in the championship, and even the championship to me is a different league than the Premier League. It's very different. But I'm excited because when you look back at last season, and I'll say it, I think we were close. We were definitely close. Hell yes, Ebby. Let's go Mets. I think we were definitely close to the league. So, and I did the calculations, and it was like if we had just scored 5 more goals, we would have tied Liverpool for the title. And to say I think Gyokeres could score 5 goals. But to go even further than that, I just think he's an upgrade. I think right now our striker is Kai Havertz. And it's someone that Arteta really likes. And to be fair, he's kind of grown on me. And I think, Arteta kind of said it pretty clearly a few weeks ago, or maybe it might be a few months ago now. But, Kai Havertz is starting week 1 as our 9 to kind of, get the team. I think it was more of kind of just get the team rallied together. Like, hey, we may not sign a striker. This may not happen because, nothing is set in stone until the player arrives and, takes pictures with the kit and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely an upgrade. And even taking Havertz out of it, we didn't even have him last season. We had to deal with Mourinho, who's a midfielder by trade, and we had to play him up top. And he did okay. I mean, he did better than what we thought he was going to do. But I just think this is a huge upgrade to us. It's someone that could make runs, run in the channels. I think, funny enough, he is going to make, which I'm sure we'll touch on this left side situation of ours. I think he'll make that left side a lot better because, he kind of floats in between the right and the left. He kind of favors the left side. And with him running in channels, I think he gives Gabriel Martinelli a little bit more of a freer license to roam. So I think it'll be very interesting to see how he unlocks the left side, which is, I mean, I don't want to say it's been a problem of ours, but it if you had to pick one part of the pitch that we need to upgrade this season besides striker, I mean, I think all of us can agree it's definitely this left-hand side. So yeah, I'm very excited, and I'm trying to put my blinders up and kind of not focus on this Isak business because it looks like we got our guy, and it's time to just go forward and move.
Did you guys see the video today that somebody, I think her name is Sarah on X, she posted a video that was done 10 months ago about Gyokeres' kind of history in football from when he was a 15-year-old till now. It highlighted a lot of the disappointment he's experienced. He talked about how he was languishing in the 2nd and 3rd tier of Sweden. He finally got a chance at Brighton, and Brighton never really gave him a fair shot. He was finally sold to Coventry, where he kind of banged, and then got his chance at a better division in the Portuguese division, and obviously the rest is history. But I think you should watch it if you haven't seen it. But I think what it did was it underscored for me, I think, something that Kelly raised maybe 12 to 18 months ago, which was the idea that Arteta is really drawn to players that have grown up in adversity, that have had to overcome some sort of challenge, and that play with a chip on their shoulder. They play with like something to prove every time they go out on the pitch. And I think you see that in Gyokeres' play. He always comes out thinking that that game is the game of his life, that he's playing for the next day for his next contract. And you start to understand that when you watch kind of how he's grown up in football and all the setbacks and disappointment he's had to overcome. And so for that reason, I think I'm really excited. I think it explains the reason why he plays so hungry. I think it shows us why, he fought so hard and took on so much risk to come here and play for Arsenal above anybody else. I mean, what would have happened had we said, if he would have done that, we wouldn't have gotten over the line, and all of a sudden Isak becomes available to us and we decided to chase Isak. He would have burned all the bridges at Sporting, and he probably would have had other suitors, but he would have had some massive egg on his face. So the fact that this guy had a real clear sign of where he wanted to go, he was willing to risk it all to come here. As Tanner reminded me, he took a pay cut, £2 million pay cut, or €2 million pay cut. he burned all the bridges at Sporting. His agent, decided not to get paid as much as he was going to. I mean, there's a lot of sacrifice on his side to come here, and I think it just reinforces the kind of player we're going to be getting. It's high character, it's high motor, it's a very hungry player. He's not the perfect player, but I think the thing that this team needed, this side needed, was someone who could score goals and knew how to leather a shot. And I think if there's anything we don't have on this side, it's someone who can consistently kick the ball in the back of the net with power and precision. And I think he brings all of that to the table. So from that standpoint, in his profile, it's a really exciting signing.
So first and foremost, I'll say that I'm thrilled with the Gyokeres signing. It's well documented. I'm on stream. I might go back and delete saying that I had developed a preference for Sesko. It was
me too, buddy. Me too.
Me too. All three of us.
We're all Team Sesko.
Because again, big part for me was because of how the transfer played out, and I felt that it was Mikel Arteta's number one choice. And in my eyes, I was like, well, the club fucked up Arteta's number one choice. Pivoted brilliantly. I also said that if we ended up with Gyokeres, I wasn't going to be like upset about it because he's an excellent player. He scores goals wherever he goes. So scoring goals, as you guys know, very difficult in this sport. I don't think the conversion rate is going to be quite, 39 for 39. But like I said, I'm ridiculously optimistic, 20 goals. But I'm also generally curious how much he's going to play, because you made a mention, Ryan, about starting Kai Havertz, and maybe about a week ago, the club posted a picture of Kai, and I quote tweeted it and said, our starting striker. And I got a lot of mixed reactions between, likes and you're out of your goddamn mind, right? But I strongly believe that Gyokeres isn't going to just walk in and dethrone Kai Havertz. I think it's Kai Havertz's position to lose, and Gyokeres will either A, have to work to take it away from him, B, quite frankly, they're going to rotate. They're both very great strikers. In my eyes, Kai Havertz is a great striker. I don't like seeing him in midfield, and I'm sure they're going to play a load of games, freaking rotation wise, at least like a 20-20 split. And then the rest will be decided on fitness and whatnot. But all this to say that throughout all of this, every ranking that I saw, everything in every DM group that I saw, everybody was like, well, if Isak's an opportunity, we're going to go for Isak, right? I mean, you have to go for Isak. Isak is the trophy striker that everybody wants in the market. Now, the timing of this is fucking ridiculous in my mind. So we go from no deal for Sesko because Leipzig wants unreasonable terms at 90 million. Then we pivot to Gyokeres and spend about a month and a half trying to negotiate for him. Then right when we get that over the line, we hear Leipzig drops the price to 60 million, allegedly. That one's unconfirmed. And now today we wake up to all the smoke in the world that Isak is exploring to play, an opportunity to leave Newcastle. He's being left out of the friendlies. And out of all the places he's going to go to the Saudi League, aka the ownership of Newcastle. So it's fishy, it's sus, and at the very least. And I don't know how you guys interpret, Chris, as you guys know, and anybody that listens to this podcast know, the game is gone as far as loopholes and cheats in my brain. So maybe I'm connecting dots that shouldn't be connected, but I do think that it's bringing back the old school meme.
Heck yeah, seems a little crazy.
I just think it's a little insane of the timing. So we talk about the timing, but before we get into the timing of the transfer, Chris, I want to. For SNGs, we got Gyokeres, right? And I'm going to go back because the live chat is just actively talking about Isak versus Gyokeres right now. Listen, I feel like I could say Isak is the better striker, and maybe it's the whole he's been in the English Premier League and he's proven me wrong, and like he's played well, and so maybe there's less question marks around him. He's
got the higher floor for sure.
he has the higher floor. There you go. And I don't think that's a stretch, but I do feel like there's a portion, just a portion, I don't know what percentage of Arsenal fans are like, who cares? We got the better striker. And I, just for the sake of conversation, I think that is a little bit disingenuous. Interested to see what you said, a higher floor. So is it safe to say that you agree with me on that case, Chris?
I don't. He definitely has the higher floor. His injury history is interesting, though, in that I think if you can't be available for 32, 33, 34 games at a minimum in the league, I'm not sure I can say you necessarily have the higher ceiling, especially when you've got a guy in Gyokeres. When you compare across the same competitions like the Champions League, Gyokeres had more goals than Isak in the Champions League. I think it was something like 6-1 last year. And again, that low sample size. Who knows what would happen this year if both play in the Champions League, which I'm sure they will, with the same kind of opportunities and minutes. But his injury history is a worry. He didn't play nearly as much as I would have wanted him to last season if he were playing for Arsenal. And we all know that when players come to Arsenal, their injury history worsens, gets a lot worse than what it has in the past. And so Isak isn't the perfect transfer either. And at 130 million, 140 million pounds, you're not only inviting, the injury history, the injury worries, you're probably also saying goodbye to another transfer that you might want to bring in, because that's eating up a ton of your war chest, quote unquote war chest.
Don't want to miss out on Nani, do you?
Exactly. We is it Isak or is it Noni Madueke plus Gyokeres? I mean, that's the question here. So, I would be disingenuous if I said that Isak wasn't the better striker. I'm on record as saying, if it was up to me and all things were being equal, I would pick Isak over Gyokeres almost every single time. But when you add context like injury history, when you add context like price, there is a worry on the Isak front that perhaps, a series of muscular injuries and strains takes its toll. And Clive was doing his best today on the AVP to talk about what's the argument against Isak? Like, what's the argument outside of cost why you may not want Isak from a tactical perspective, from any other perspective you can think of? And he said, if you have repeated muscular injuries and you're asked to press the way that Arteta asks you to press, who's to say that his injury history doesn't get worse coming to Arsenal? And that would be a worry. That would be a fear to put 130 million into a single player and have that player, come to us and basically have the career that Gabriel Jesus has had here. I don't think anybody would want to see that. And you're spending a shit ton of money to have that happen. So if we had to pivot to a plan B, I think Gyokeres is about as good as we could have. Again, not without our concerns. He's coming from a lesser league. He's not the perfect player. He's probably not a perfect fit tactically for us. He's very good in transition. He's very good in open space. Can he help us break down a low block? I have some theories on what would need to happen in order to do that. I think Zubimendi's presence in our side will help with that. Both in transition and in against mid block and low blocks. He's not great in the air. And I know we like to pump in crosses from advantageous positions. So can he get better at that? Maybe. But he knows how to score goals, and he can score goals in a variety of ways. And I think those guys will always have an opportunity in any league if they can put it in the back of that at the rate that he does. Lastly, I'll say on the timing thing, because I think that's really important. I noted that in our GC, our group chat, when I saw the Isak stuff drop. We're just about to sign Gyokeres. It's pretty certain that we are. Liverpool's about to sign Ekitike. One of, I think, four things could be happening here. One is, I think this might be the least likely. He's jonesing for a better contract from Newcastle. He's getting paid something like 150,000 a week. and yet Newcastle is demanding 150 million, and he's thinking to himself, those two things don't add up. 150,000 pound a week salary wage players, don't go for 150 million. They go for half that, and so I think I'm worth at least double that. And he's wanting to get paid, and he's using this as leverage against Newcastle to get paid. Second is this could be an extravagant money laundering scheme by Saudi, because as we know, the Saudis own Newcastle, and they've been linked with Isak this summer. And it might just be that the Saudis have said, give us him for a year, let him play in the Saudi league, give him a nice paycheck with the agreement that he goes back to Newcastle afterwards. And Newcastle sells him for whatever, 150 to Saudi. They buy him back for 50, and now they've got 100 million more in PSR headroom. And the Saudis know that the Premier League are toothless, that they have nothing against that case, and that might put Newcastle in a better position in the long term. I could totally see that happening, because we know that these nation state funded clubs are willing to do anything to get ahead. I've heard reports about him potentially being a candidate for Real Madrid. Now, Real Madrid, I don't know if they have 130 million to spend, and that doesn't seem to be their MO lately. They tend to like to tap players up that they want and have them run down their contract and have them leave for free, just like Trent did this past summer. But they do need a striker, and Alonso is on record as saying he would like more of a traditional number 9, which they don't have at the club. So Real Madrid's always one to watch. And fourth, I think Liverpool is unfortunately a player in this situation. They've hardly spent in the last 2 years. They've got Bayern Munich, who are seemingly willing to spend a ton of money on Luis Diaz. They got Saudi interested in Darwin Nunez. They've already shown they're willing to go above 100 million for the first time, buying Verts this summer. And while they have also bought Ekitike, he's a bit of a project. So if they wanted to future-proof their squad for the inevitable departure of Mo Salah in the not-so-distant future, I can think of worse players to do that with in Alexander Isak. So I think all four of those situations are all potentials. But I do find it interesting that this news decided to come out after two other very viable places in Europe that are attractive places to go have just secured their strikers in Liverpool and Arsenal. And I don't yet know what to make of it. But if you're a guy who feels like he's getting underpaid, I would think that you would do that much earlier in the summer than in the middle of July, when a lot of people have already done their business. That's just my thought. I think it's really, really fishy.
You forgot option number 5, Chris, and that is
coming to Arsenal.
No, there's a team in Manchester that need a striker. They finished 15th, and they're looking to spend, I hear.
Oh, good Lord, Ryan. You cannot be serious.
No, I'm not serious.
Well,
I'm definitely not serious.
Would they, a few things just on that, just for the plausibility of it. Would they spend 130 million on a single player? Yes. Would they put the player on 400 to 500K? Yes. It's not above United is all I'm saying. I mean, they get rid of like Casemiro, who is like 52 at this point, and there's 350 of your wages right there a week. So will the player want to go there? Probably fucking not. But if the club financially would do it, I think they would absolutely try to do that. I mean, Lord knows Sporting tried to get them to dive into the Gyokeres thing, and I have no doubt whatsoever that they would have offered a tremendous amount more of wages to Gyokeres. But
Mike, I know you don't believe in PSR, but I think
what was that?
I don't believe you believe in PSR, but I think United believes in PSR, and I don't think they have the PSR headroom to buy him, to be honest, at the cost that the fee that he's gonna go for. They're already talking about having to sell a shit ton of players that they don't want. Antony's still in the books, who's making a crap ton. Casemiro, who's making a crap ton, who's not good. I mean, that team has a ton of holes that need to be filled, and to spunk 130 million on a player like that when you've got all those other holes to fill and not a lot of PSR headroom to do it, I don't see that at all.
I still don't believe it exists. Let me rephrase that. I believe it
that's
exists.
What I'm saying. Whether it exists
I-
or not, it's all about whether you believe it exists. And
It-
I think United think it exists.
They could just sell Anthony to the women's team or some shit and just
They're not smart enough to do that, Mike. Come on, are you serious?
Is that just a Todd Bowie thing? It's only he's doing it? Okay,
Apparently,
fair enough.
him and Villa sold their women's team to their team to get out of massive trouble at the end of June. So there are some clubs who are willing to do it, but I don't think United are one of them.
I want to say, like, just because you mentioned the league being soft, at a lack of better words, as far as enforcing rules and punishing teams, I do see UEFA's doing substantially more. And I believe I read a report suggesting that they were going to they warned Aston Villa and another club, I'm forgetting the name of the club, that, hey, we're going to focus more on what you do this window. So none of this you selling youth product amongst you three at outrageous fees in order to try to, establish and make yourself look better in the PSR kind of world. So curious to see how that plays out. I've seen more teams get punished or at least spoken to, or, fees and whatever regarding in UEFA competitions. I mean, in the past, look, Milan literally had to drop out of the competition. Other teams get points deductions or they're not allowed to participate. So kind of curious to see what UEFA does versus the league. Seemingly the league is perfectly fine allowing everything. And that's, we've said this before, this is nothing new, but I think it's really important for them to still continue to push we're the richest club in the world. And they factually are, but in the vein of that title, I think sometimes they just absolutely take the piss and allow things that shouldn't be allowed, to be quite honestly.
Mike,
go for it.
I forgot one more. So it actually was 5, Ryan. This one's really interesting. I've also seen rumblings of PSG being interested in Isak. And PSG can pay massive wages. They're a one club in a one club league. They just won the Champions League. Isak's Swedish. He played in La Liga. He's now played in the Premier League. He doesn't seem to be uncomfortable with moving leagues if he needs to and learning new languages. They love stacking attacking talent. I think here's a sneaky, I think way outside chance that maybe this benefits Arsenal, is that you guys all know, I think based on our director of football chat earlier this summer, that I love Bradley Barcola, and I think we desperately need a left wing upgrade. I wonder if Arsenal is waiting on that left wing buy, whether it's Eze or someone else, because we're just trying to see if something shakes loose. And I wonder if someone like Isak goes to PSG, if one of those other young talented wingers like a Barcola says, I'm already behind Kvaratskhelia on the left wing, right? Because I was benched when he came. He obviously played quite a few minutes, but he wasn't first choice. I just won the Champions League. I'm destined to win I'm destined to win Liga every single year. Perhaps I need a new challenge at a place where I can be the undisputed number one. I just wonder if the club want to keep enough powder dry to put themselves in the running for something like that happening. And if an Isak goes to PSG, the dominoes start to fall. I think someone wants to leave, whether it's Barcola, whether it's somebody else, I don't know. But as a club, as Arsenal, you have to be in position to take advantage of that. And I can think of no better fit, because I said it on this pod, than Bradley Barcola at left wing for Arsenal. So that's a sneaky outside shot. I don't think it happens, but if Isak goes to PSG, watch this space. That's all I'm saying.
Watch this space. I like that. Now, I like it in theory, and I do think, like we've been talking about this left wing situation for a really long time. It seems like the Rodrigo stories kind of died down a little bit. We continue to be linked at a fairly reasonable pace with Eze. I think most fans that aren't like super against the Noni deal that I've been sporadically bringing up, that's kind of, I think a lot of fans generally feel that because of Madueke, we don't get Rodrigo. And that's just a general feeling that I see on my timeline. I don't personally correlate both of them, but I think the left wing thing was always going to be one of those left till the end of the window type of situations. I generally believe that the club is prioritizing Eze. Even though there was some reports suggesting that, the contract extension of Ethan Ranieri might affect those plans. We'll see how it plays out. But the left wing thing, I always thought it was like you said, Chris, let dominoes fall and see where we're at. Because like you said, Barcola could become available. They have the other gentleman, not Cavascalia, starts with a D. Due. Thank you.
Due.
Love it when you speak French. And then obviously the Rodrigo links, of course. Of course, the Rodrigo links, of course, of him potentially wanting to depart or them not wanting him.
No, thank you on Rodrigo. That man has been treated like
earmuffs of our top fan. Hold on, I think he's number 2 top fan right now. Okay, Abreu's in the live chat, bro. Earmuffs. You can't say those.
Sorry. I'm going to call BS on the Rodrigo stuff because that man has been. I used AI the other day to basically put Rodrigo in a cuck chair because that's what that guy is doing right now. The bench, he's going to be sitting in a cuck chair behind the corner flag watching these games because that's all that man wants to do. He wants to sit there and watch Real Madrid play, even if they're never going to put him on the field, because I don't understand how much more clear Real Madrid can be with him. He's not in their plans. He hasn't been playing in the summer. He seems to be shopped around, and yet he keeps saying publicly that he wants to stay at Real Madrid. It's really kind of crazy to me that the man doesn't want to go somewhere else where he can be appreciated, can get some playing time. And look, I'm not convinced by the player. He wouldn't be my number 1 choice at left wing. But if you're not wanted at the club you're at, man, give up the dream and go somewhere else. Make it happen somewhere else. You're young enough to make this career happen. Don't waste away sitting on the bench at Real Madrid. Don't do it. That's all I have to say.
You're describing him like a beta Gyokeres. Like everything Gyokeres would not stand for.
He's like the anti-Gyokeres.
The anti-Gyokeres. Enter exactly. that one meme in the corner that I made, Chris. You know which one I'm talking about.
Yes.
Hey, by the way, I asked ChatGPT to take the piss out of a PSR, and it came up with panic selling rapidly, meaning that the fake sales, piss stain regulations. That's a good one. PlayStation rules, great one. I like that.
Hell yeah.
PlayStation rules, I like it.
And punish small revenue. That's another good one because they only tend to punish small teams. So good on ChatGPT for taking the piss out of PSR for me. I cannot have come up with any of those. Boys, I think we spoke about our new recruits and our options in attack fairly enough. It's time to heavily criticize the club for not scoring 4 goals versus Milan in the first friendly. Look, obviously, I'm taking the piss. I'm having some fun. My good friend Ryan, starting lineup, very mixed. Ben White got a start, and he got a lot of minutes, which is, for me, absolutely great to see that he's getting a lot of fitness up. Bukayo Saka played a lot. Ethan Ranieri playing in that, dare I say it, central role, Chris. And I know that you know what I'm talking about because you got into a spat over the term playing in the middle, playing in the center. But he started off as 10, aka on the right where Odegaard played, and a lot of good, got a lot of good features, a lot of good performances all around. But obviously, Ryan, let's not read too much into the actual, the actual starting lineup because this is just who's available right now. Like Zinchenko is potentially not even going to be with the club within a month. We don't even know, right? Martinelli, but it was kind of nice to see Norgard get his first start, Saka starting again, Kai Havertz. All of these players have been out through injury for a really long time. I think Calafiori as well. So it's kind of nice seeing everybody return to fitness and a game versus Milan, who went with they're pretty much their starting lineup. And once again, Arsenal did that thing, dude, where they just absolutely suffocate their opponent. If you look at the stats, it's completely one-sided. We created all types of shots. Kind of nice, man. We're just like picking up at the peak of our powers, if you will. We're also not scoring similar to what we were doing at the peak of our powers. But What's your kind of like just overall thoughts on the game, Ryan?
Yeah. So, it was an interesting game. First, it was nice to see Matawek get. Oh, no, he didn't play. All right, never mind. Let me get rid of this.
Once you saw the
Yeah.
starting 11, you're like, power off. I'm walking
This
away.
is Mataweke's biggest stand, by the way. In
I have to be, dude.
Look at this guy.
I have to be. No.
Do you already have his jersey? Come on, you must.
Well, I think I told Mike already. And I told a few friends. I think I'm getting his name on one of the shirts this year. I don't know which
He's
one.
so much of a fan, Chris. He has his Chelsea jersey already.
Well, no. See, so it's funny, right? So I was like,
Ryan's gonna show up with dreads on the next on the next pod, and then Mike's gonna be like, "Welcome to your debut, Ryan."
yeah.
4th time in a row, baby.
No, it's funny. I was debating getting his shirt in our away kit, and then I'm like, I don't want to get him his one kit that I own of his. I don't want to get it in a blue shirt. So I was like, I can't do that. So may have to wait till next season.
The home shirt, man. Get the home shirt with him on it.
I think I want to do Miles Skelly on the home shirt, but anyways, I digress. Yeah, I think the one of the more interesting things that that we that you kind of didn't touch on, which actually surprised me, because even like looking at my phone on my app, it says when Yari was 53, but he was number 22. Little number change that they forgot to mention to us. I thought that was actually kind of interesting, and I guess a little telling, even though I feel like we knew he was extending by that point. But yeah, new number who this, but I thought he played well. I think something that I noticed that was very interesting was the quickness that we showed. Everyone, I think everyone was, even like someone like Saka, who kind of lacked that coming back from injury. He was just so quick. His acceleration was just, they couldn't keep up with him. Poor Milan, Mikey. But yeah, no, I mean, I again, it's preseason. Don't want to go to hyperbole, but dude, we looked. I think the one thing I took away is, well, I guess two things. I would say, I mean, the one thing would be risk, but I mean, in preseason, I think that's what you do, because it's preseason. You can't only get hurt by it. But we took a lot of risks, and we were just quick, and that's something that I think a lot of people have been kind of crying out for, saying we're slow and we just pass around in circles, and we just don't look like we have a plan B or an answer. And something I've talked about on previous shows, on other shows, is I think Zubimendi kind of, and you alluded to it, Zubimendi unlocking a low block. I just think Zubimendi just unlocks a lot, and I think Zubimendi, when he got announced, he was on the drum kit, and it was all about rhythm, and he's going to bring rhythm to the squad. I mean, that's, yeah, I could not agree more. I think that he is going to be, I don't want to say the heart of this team, but he's gonna see how he's gonna be the pace. Everyone's gonna keep up with him, and he's gonna decide whether to go quicker, slower. And it was nice to see him kind of adjust the pace at his own, at whatever he wanted to, but also when he wasn't on the pitch. I think we were still a quick team, which gives me hope. And I as excited I am, I'm very excited for Zubimendi. I think he brings something to this squad that we kind of haven't had in a while. Replacing a Thomas Partey, who is more of a ball carrier and uses his legs and his limbs to get the ball, whereas Zubimendi will get in your face, he'll tackle you. He's not afraid to take risk with long passing, something that Thomas Partey doesn't really do, or that he did. So it's great and all, but again, I feel like you say this ad nauseum, is, how is he going to adapt to this Premier League? Because it's a different game. Low blocks are, to me, a low block in the Premier League is a little bit different than a low block in a La Liga game. So it will be interesting to see how he adapts. And now bringing in a person like Christian Norgard, I think is amazing. He's someone who's replacing Jorginho, and a very similar profile. In the fact that he's more of a tackler, and he's get in your face, and take the ball away from you, and kind of dispose it how he must. But he's also a leader on the pitch. And Jorginho, yeah, he was a leader, but Jorginho was it's funny enough, Jorginho was more of a Zubmendi type of player. He was a passer, and he wanted to dictate the pace. But he was like, I don't know, what is he, like 35 now? I don't even know. He's old.
32. Yeah, he's older.
Yeah, he's old. So I think this youth being kind of injected into the team and hopefully into the starting 11, I think will pay dividends for us going forward. And I think to me that was my biggest takeaway and my biggest surprise. I don't want to say surprise because I know we're capable of playing like this. I've seen us play like this, but coming off a season where we had so many injuries, and Saka came back later in the season, but we all knew he wasn't himself. But just seeing him glide past, their fullbacks and center backs, it's a good thing to see because, preseason people like do take it easy and they don't go 100%, but that quickness, that's something that you'll always see, whether it's a preseason game or a Champions League final. So, it could be because I'm biased because I haven't seen us play in so long, but I'm definitely more excited than I was a couple weeks ago.
You made a couple good points there, Ryan. I think one of them I wanted to bring up was it felt to me like we were doing less of that when we win back possession. We pass the ball 3 times to get into our shape so that if we lose the ball back again, we're not going to get countered. I felt like we resisted our automatisms in doing that, like we've been, I think, drilled and taught by Arteta. And I felt like we were trying to spring forward in transition a bit with a bit more pace. And I think bringing Gyokeres and Madueke will help with that because I think those guys are deadly in transition. And they're 2 profiles in our squad that we don't really have a lot of. And so with those 2 guys, and then with Zubmendi, who is really comfortable passing the ball first touch with both his left and his right foot forward, I think is going to really help in transition. And I think I saw, while it didn't always come off, it didn't lead to any goals. I noted we had a couple high turnovers that we tried to turn into goals. We didn't get a shot off. That's an age-old problem that we have. But I felt like we were trying to transition a bit more than what we have in the past. And I hope that is something that's here to stay, because I think we can feast off that with some of the new profiles we've targeted in our side, in our squad. The other thing I thought was interesting was the way in which he choreographed the team in terms of splitting it into 2 from the first half and the second half. So like the partnerships he was putting out there, I thought were interesting. In the first half, he had Saliba and Calafiori playing center back, and knowing that Gabriel is going to take a little bit of time to get fit and get healthy from his injury last year. I wonder if we're going to see a lot of that at the beginning of the season with Calafiori playing left-sided center back. And I think Arteta maybe wanted to see what that would look like against Milan's first team. So that was really interesting. I thought it was interesting that he played Zubmendi and Odegaard in the second half together because, as we know, Odegaard was primarily responsible for progression last season. And I think he's been burnt out by just having to do too much on the pitch. And I think Arteta is trying to simplify his role. And I think Zubmendi's going to do a lot to be able to do that, because Odegaard doesn't need to drop deep anymore because Zubmendi's a really elite progressor of the ball. So having Odegaard sit higher in the pitch, I hope, is going to help, again, ask him to do fewer things, but do those fewer things better. So I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was good to get Ben White and Saka on the pitch again, to see that overlapping run from Ben White and to see that chemistry worked back in together. Obviously, Timber's not available, so you kind of had to start with a Saka and a Ben White, but nonetheless, I think in really specific games, we're going to see that right side of the pitch on the right-hand side do a lot of damage like we've been used to when all those guys are fit. And to see Ben White fit again, he looked like a new player. I felt like, compared to last year, where I think he played injured a lot of the season that he did play until we shut him down. He looked fit. He looked energized. He was making those runs. He had that beautiful, incisive ball that he played into Saka in between the fullback and the center back that Saka dribbled in and took to the byline, and then tried to squeeze it in with his left foot. Didn't come off, but you do that a couple of times, you're going to score off that. what else? I mean, I think Kai starting up top, to see him and his new body. He's huge now. He's added probably 10 pounds of muscle. Clive noted today on the AVP that he looks like he's prepared his body to play center forward. He's got more of a center forward's body now as opposed to like a midfielder's body. He's ready to, use his physicality to get advantages against center backs. And I thought that was super interesting. All in all, I mean, Ethan starting I thought was interesting over Odegaard even. And to see him play centrally as opposed to out wide, I think that is where the club has wanted Ethan to play, is more centrally. And I think this is a step in getting him more minutes centrally, and to see him looking stronger. He looks taller. I think he's probably grown in the offseason a bit, and he's of the age where growth is going to happen in the offseason. I thought was good to see. So yeah, love to see like the testing out of partnerships, testing out new ways of playing, seeing how Zubimendi fits with certain people, accommodating for injuries that are still lingering. I thought that was probably the most successful part of the game, because I think preseason is for testing out things you ultimately want to do in the season, to see what comes off and what doesn't. It's not necessarily about winning the game. And we ended up doing both. We won the game, and we were able to see and test out a few things that I hope continue on and throughout the preseason and into the season. So yeah, that was my overall thought, really.
Also, shout out to kids. I mean, this show loves kids. I mean, this show loves the kids. So don't clip that. This show loves the kids, and
it's getting clipped. Believe me.
But yeah, no. I think that I know not all 7 academy players played, but obviously Max Dowman, the highly touted 15-year-old, which is insane to say, but it's the bravery and I don't know if it's now. Well, I guess this is a question for you guys too. Do you guys say salmon or salmon?
Salmon.
So Mike, do you say salmon or salmon?
Salmon.
Salmon. Okay. I say salmon too, but I don't know how to pronounce that guy's name. The other 15-year-old center back. And again, I guess going back to just quickly what I was saying about risk, like seeing him make long passes. Yeah. All right. Anyways, Dean. Let's get back on track here. Focus. Don't think about kids. Max Dowman and Salmon. Yeah, they're great. Go Academy.
Go Academy is right. Yeah. No. Just on the Dowman thing, I don't know how you manage the expectations of a player that like half of Europe wants. Like, I'm just generally curious how that plays out, because like he's obviously really talented. Can he play in the Premier League at 15? Or I know last season it was like he literally couldn't, because
I think he had to be 16.
So,
So as far as I'm aware, he can play this season. I think you might be right with the 16 thing. I know he turned 16 on New Year's Eve. So maybe if crazy things happen, we'll see him. But like, I don't expect to see him this coming season. I don't, but I just think it's just crazy the bravery that kid shows, like dribbling, not afraid to dribble through players, around players, tackle the players to get that ball back. It's insane. He had a really good play in the center of the pitch. I don't recall the minute, but he like megged a dude, and then he was like about to lose the ball. Then he like stuck his foot out and got the ball back. I mean, it's just, and to me, bravery and confidence is something you can't really teach, can't really coach. But to have that at 15 and to be using that, it's one thing for him to be doing it on the U18s and even U21, which he kind of was doing, but to do it at this level, and yeah, preseason, I get that. But this is AC Milan. This is, to be fair, this could be a team we see in the Champions League.
Well, not this year, because I don't think Milan is in the Champions League. Is that right, Mike?
Ooh.
Not in the Champions League, no.
Awkward turtle. I didn't know. I didn't want
to end it there.
I didn't want to. Yeah, that was awkward.
No.
But I mean, it's something that you can definitely build on, and it's something that I think that we could use to our advantage, and it'll just make him a better player. And I also think a player like that, having that bravery, having that confidence at such a young age, I think can progress him a lot quicker. And I don't want to rush him. I don't want to. Oh, the minute he turns 16, okay, cool, he's gonna play in the Premier League. I don't want that. But I also want to keep a player like that happy. I want him to feel at home here, even though I've been told by all accounts he is happy. His dad has taken to Instagram and saying Arsenal is our home, Arsenal is our club. End of. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting because we talked about earlier in the show how we have all these signings and all these players coming in, the Gyokeres, the Maduekes, Zubamendi. They're younger, sort of, but they're players that have played and have been in the spotlight and been very good footballers. But then it's like, okay, we have all these good players coming in to make impacts now. And it's like, dude, we have a 15-year-old that is going to take the world by storm. And it sucks because, like you said, it's how do you manage those expectations? How do you kind of deal with that? And it's tough because in my eyes, I want to just forget him. I want to forget him. I want to set it and forget it. Like, okay, cool. Play the U21s next season. I don't want to have to worry about you because I'll be honest. I want to see him play. I want to see him play in the Premier League just because he's just such a fun player to watch.
I'm sorry, Mike. I was just going to say, I said on Twitter, he plays like a player who's been playing senior football for 2 years. Yeah. He's got the mentality of a 20, 21-year-old who's played senior football for, since 2023. Someone said, I don't remember who it was, he looks like the soccer equivalent of Roger Federer. If you guys watch tennis, I know some people don't consider tennis a sport, like Dean in the chat, but I digress. But Roger Federer was known for making the game look effortless. He glides along the tennis court. His movement is silky. He makes everything what he does look easy, way easier than it actually is. And it's wild to me. My oldest son is 15. He's exactly Max Dowman's age. In fact, my son looks a little bit like Max Dowman, so it's a little bit freaky. My son used to play soccer. He was a very good player, decided to not play and focus on basketball. But I can't imagine my 15-year-old playing senior football for Arsenal at his age. I just can't. And yet Max Dowman looked the part against AC Milan. And these weren't like AC Milan's academy players. These were some first team players that were out there. These were adult men. These were guys who were bigger, more experienced, been through the wars a lot more than Max Dowman has. And yet Max Dowman was receiving the ball with confidence on the right. I mean, he was even playing out of position. He doesn't play right wing. He plays central midfield. But he was playing attacking. He was playing an attacking role on the wing and dribbling around guys who were, 5, 10, 15 years his senior and making it look pretty easy. So we have good history at Arsenal, even with Ethan Nwaneri just recently, of managing a kid who is a kind of a prodigy at a young age. And so I think that the club has quite a bit of experience kind of managing expectations, managing the psychological aspect of things, setting expectations, making sure that they don't put the kid into early situations where they're going to, harm him irreparably, because as we know, these kids at this age are growing pretty rapidly. And you put too much force and physicality on those growing bones, and you can, definitely harm them for life. So you got to protect the player, but you also have to, meet their ambitions as well and their expectations for playing time. So it's a delicate balance, but as we know from Ethan Nwaneri, that guy means business. He never smiles. He almost got taken by a Chelsea and a City over the course of many contract renewals. We've managed to keep him, and I have every confidence that the club knows what they're doing in keeping a player like Max Dowman, who is every bit, I think, the prospect that Ethan Nwaneri is. And if we can, I mean, my God, we're going to have a late prime Saka or a mid prime Saka. We're going to have an early prime Miles Lewis Skelly. We're going to have an early prime Ethan Laneri. We're going to have an early prime Max Dowman. I mean, we're going to have a hail end party on the pitch, where we could have almost half of our starting 11 be academy players. And that is a testament to the recruitment, the development, to Per Mertesacker, to anybody who's, to Arteta, to anybody who's had to, had a hand in developing these kids and keeping them here and selling them on the vision, because that's not easy. A lot of academies get ripped apart. They give up on the players too early. I mean, Chelsea's a good example of that. I often used to joke that Chelsea could field a better first 11 with players they've sold from their academy than the players that are actually at their club. So the fact that we could have that kind of generation of players playing at Arsenal, for the next 10 years is incredible. Honestly, it's amazing.
All right, here's a wildly unpopular opinion. I don't know if opinion it is just an observation, if you will. And 29/30 is not like the player's old, but 3-4 years from now, Martin Odegaard will be older, near 30, and taking into consideration that Dowman is so young, that might be like a nice thing that while he physically develops, right? Because Chris, you have a teenager right now at home. I have a teenager right at home. That there's a lot of change in this age, and he's going to change a lot physically moving up to that age bracket. So he might be stronger and more physically capable of dealing with the English Premier League. If when it comes to the physicality, he might be getting better at that in the next 3-4 years. But it's like you said, a very delicate balance, because it's going to be a really difficult thing to do, considering that he has all the talent in the world. And I'm really hoping that they manage to loan him out. And I generally think that's probably going to be like the best thing for him. Otherwise, other than that, I don't know how you, a lack of better words, shelf a player for that long. So some resolution is going to happen, but I generally hope that he sticks around. Steve-O made a comment, and I really Steve-O is awesome, and I don't know when he's taking the piss or not, but this sounds like something, considering their big Arsenal family. Steve-O said his Max Dowman's dad sang backup vocals for North London Forever.
No way.
And I'm generally gonna have to. Yeah, I can see Chris starts Google searching.
Oh, I'm totally Google searching that.
I need to know if this is true. I swear, dude. So it's be absolutely amazing if that's an actual thing. Crazy. So, yeah. The one thing I was going to sneak in, guys, just because, as you guys know, I'm a big fan of Ben White, and I do think that a lot of people are kind of, I don't know if they're sleeping on him or it's because Timber has done such a fantastic job playing for us, but I do think that we're going to see Ben White a lot. I don't think it's as easy as saying like, hey, he's going to be the backup to Timber at right back. I think we're going to see a lot of Ben White, and I still consistently, as I like to say, is that he's a atypical Arteta player that plays through pains, that's always available, and not having him last season must have driven Arteta crazy. So I'm generally curious about the split at right back that we're going to see throughout the season. I've alluded to this last podcast. We're coming up with a fun bingo card for us to follow along. I'm hoping to get a lot of the dear listeners to participate in it. I'm even thinking about getting maybe potentially other podcasts to see if they want to go against the Napsters, if you will. So I'm gonna try to get something going on, get something fun, something that we could track throughout the entire season and just take the piss out of each other with. But I think that's a good place to end it, unless you guys want to mention anybody else. I know Kepa Arrizabalaga was like insane in the penalties.
Ryan wants to talk about all the former Chelsea players.
The former Chelsea players, yes.
I mean, do we have time? No, I have a quick question for Chris. I'm curious. Do you think we should loan out Max Dowman? Not necessarily this year, but just like looking forward. Because I don't want to loan him out. I think that's not a good idea.
I don't.
Chris.
I don't love the use of the loan system if we don't have a club that we trust will A, play the player consistently, and B, plays in a way that is similar to how we play. I haven't paid enough attention to know if there is a club out there that would fit those criteria. If there is, I'm not necessarily against it. But I also think that we're going to see Max Dowman on some benches this season when he's eligible as a 16-year-old. I'm not saying he's going to get minutes in the Premier League this year, but I think we might see him on benches. I think he'll play a ton of U21 games. I just look at past prodigies at the club like Emile Smith-Rowe. Didn't have great loans out, and Ketty didn't have great loans out. Reece Nelson, partly because he can't stay fit, didn't have great loans out. Probably forgetting some people, but the loan system hasn't been kind to our players overall, especially academy kids. And I don't know if the goal is to get them senior minutes playing against adults. I would want some assurances that they're going to get those minutes, but playing in a way that's, somewhat consistent with how they're going to be asked to play when they come back to the club. So I'm not against it, but I just don't know where the destination is for a player like a Max Dowman. I mean, there's even talk about, should we loan out Ethan Winery this year? I don't agree with that, but I know there's some people that are thinking about that. So I just don't know where that is. Where is that?
I'm actually one of those people.
Well, there you go.
I don't think we should definitely loan him out, but I think it's something that should definitely be discussed in the war room. But for me, especially dealing with young players, I think in my opinion, the only time you loan players out of that age group or bracket, I should say, would be if you're not sure and you're like, I don't know, I need to see more. So let's send him to a club where he gets the minutes, whether it would be okay. Like an Emile Smith-Rowe, we weren't sure, and it was talked about. I don't know if it was talked about in the documentary or it just came out that Arteta's like, I know you could play, but I want to see how you could handle. I forget exactly the words he used, but I want to see how you can handle X, Y, Z. It's something like a Reece Nelson, go on loan. I want to see if you can handle A, B, C. I think if they really truly believe in Max Dowman, I think he has a future at this club. And they know it. I mean, let's face it, he's 15. And I feel like they know what they're getting here. I think a loan is a big mistake. I think if you want to get him, I know training's not the same thing, but I think keeping him around our guys, our starting 11, our first team squad, I think is more than enough preparation for him to be with us in the long haul. But yeah, that's just my opinion. But yeah, I definitely think loans for me are just like, it's like, I want to play you, but I need to see more of you, and I don't think I'm going to have the minutes to give to you. So here, go to Fulham, go to Palace, or go to Sevilla, go somewhere else. But I personally don't want to see him get loaned out.
Yeah, I see Ethan Winery loan as a non-starter, specifically if Eze is not brought in.
Oh well, yeah, we'll agree.
Yeah, you could just be reverting on the lack of depth there. Just starting that all over again.
I agree.
It's again, dude. I'm not even doing this to poke fun at you, but the Noni thing is, it's widely reported that Winery, while he performed well on the right wing, that's not the position that the club nor himself see himself in the future. So he's definitely Odegaard's backup. He's been mentoring. Being mentored by Odegaard for 1 or 2 seasons now, so I think that's where the future is for Winery. But I also think that there's plenty of opportunity for him to play there, specifically if no other attacking midfield option comes into play. Sorry, Chris, you highlighted that one here. Sorry, hands off the mouse.
That's okay. Steve makes a good point that we overplayed Jack Wilshere. I know you're not a big Jack Wilshere fan, Mike, but we overplayed him when he was young, and his career was ruined because of repeated injury. And I think the club has to be aware of those kinds of examples where we didn't manage the player correctly. And I think we've done a great job with Ethan and Winery. There's been a ton of demand for him to play more than he has. And I think, Ethan Winery is even on record as saying, I didn't want to play at the end of the season because I was physically overburdened. And so he was even the one that was responsible for not playing as much as maybe the fans wanted him to play at the end of the season last year. It wasn't necessarily the club that did that. That was Ethan saying it. And so if a 17, 18-year-old is saying that, you're going to hear a 15 and 16-year-old say that. As much as he may want to play in the first team, I think we've got to do the best thing for him in his long-term future. And it seems like he's a kid that has his head on his shoulders. He's got a good family around him that's going to support the proper development and look out for his long-term future as well. We've got a club who seems to be good at doing that as well, given our experience with Ethan. So I trust the club to do this right. And I think if we're doing it right, we probably don't see Max Dowman consistently in a squad until he's 17 or 18. If he continues to develop at the pace we think he's going to, but he's an exciting talent for sure. He might be the best 15-year-old in the world right now. I mean, Ethan Winery might be one of the best, if not the best 17-year-old. I mean, it's crazy the amount of talent we have in our academy right now. And I think we'll manage it correctly. One last player just to highlight, Mike, before we go. Your favorite Frenchman, William Saliba. My God, is he already in like peak fitness and form? I mean, he's playing.
He's 5-week games into the season already.
Yeah, he's match week 10 right now. Like he looks physically dominant. I mean, he had to chase down Leao, I think twice. Once on his side, and then once some ball got squirted through, and I think Kivior was in at that time, and I don't think through no fault of Kivior's own, but he had to make a diagonal run to catch Leao, and I think he caught him before Leao could get a shot off. He looks good on the ball. I know that like people love to overhype our players, but honestly, I think you can make a case for him being at the very least the best right-sided defender in the world. Is he like right now, or can we say this year he might be the best center back in the world, period? I mean, he's nearing those echelons right now. He's very close to that, if not already there. And he's already at that level in the first preseason game. It's astounding how good he is.
He can't have the throne until Sergio Ramos is officially retired. But no, all jokes aside, no, fuck, man. No, I started thinking about center backs. Fuck. You know what? You know what it is, Chris? I don't want to be like that arrogant guy to say like we have the two best center backs in the world. Okay, Van Dijk is a good shout. I'm talking about like top 5 at the very least. Van Dijk's a good shout, right? Saliba has to be in the top 5 at the very least. I rate Militao a lot from Real Madrid. He hasn't been able to play a lot because he got a double injury, so he's really up there. I'm sure. I'm forgetting the name of the guy at City, not Ruben. Yeah.
Oh no.
I comfortably place him top 3, Chris. And I will say this: I think our pairing is within the top 5 of just center backs, not changing them between left and right, just judging them as center defenders. I think he's up there. I hate to say it, but better because he's slower and not as available. Good point. Absolutely. As a combo, Moss. I mean, it's really. I think it's difficult to compare to get another pairing as good as Gabriel plus Saliba. Absolutely.
There is no better center back partnership in the world, hands down, than our two.
Gabriel is holding my faith for Brazilians alive. I will say this.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay.
I don't think anyone comes close to this. Again, yeah, we're biased, obviously, but they just complement each other so well. Whatever like Saliba lacks, Gabriel makes up for it, and vice versa. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's close.
All right, fair enough. I was going to say something catty about Jack Wilshere, but the moment is gone. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with the outro. Live chat, you have been absolutely awesome. Chris, you want to tell these dear listeners where they could find you, sir?
Oh, man, you're not going to ask me to tell people. You usually tell people. West Suburban AFC on Twitter or X, whatever it's called. By the way, I don't know if I trust the views on Twitter, but on the repost you do from our podcast account, Mike, it says we have 121 viewers right now, which is crazy. And if we even had half of those viewers come over and watch on YouTube and join the live chat, I think you'd have a much better experience. But
I don't think Abreu wants that. He wants a number one spot. I don't know.
He seems to want the number one spot.
He doesn't want competition.
Yeah, he doesn't want competition.
But I welcome the competition. So come on over, guys. If you're watching on Twitter, come over and watch it on YouTube next time. We'd love to have you. And thanks all for joining. This has been really fun.
Yeah, an easy way to know that I'm not going to give you your own outro, Chris, is A, we're running late. B, I'm yawning. If you see me yawning, I just want off the stream, and that's when I do the quick outros. But in this circumstance, we got Arse Bros Ryan, and he's going to give a shout out to the Loose Cannons.
Yes, Loose Cannons TV. Yes.
Yeah, you're doing this on a more regular basis with Tanner now, yes?
Yeah, we're taking over Monday nights because you guys are like, yeah, we're not committed to a weekday, but we definitely don't do Mondays. So I'm like, all right, cool, we'll take Mondays. That's fine. We'll be the dreaded awful Mondays. Yeah, we're doing shows pretty much every Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, of course. Bearing anything crazy. I know we did I think it was a Friday night show because just Menweke. We were Menweke wild over there, and I think it led to us not doing a show that following Monday. But yeah, we're trying to do more regular things, and we'll probably try to. We're working on a show to get guests on, and that'll probably be more afternoon time, more European friendly time. So maybe check that out. But yeah. It was fun. Thank you guys for having me. It's always a blast talking to you guys. I have so much fun, and go Arsenal. I don't know. That's so corny. That was so corny. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to end what I was saying. So I was like,
next time, Ryan, when we get you on for your debut, you can be on with Kelly as opposed to me. That's fine.
Yeah,
I know we all know that's what you really want.
You hold the world Guinness record of 4 debuts on the same podcast.
Yeah,
long may that.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
I'll hold that record proud.
I've been Mike Hers. You can find me at Mike Hers FC on the Twitters. You can find this wonderful podcast audio format for those audio heads on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Of course, on YouTube. If you're here already, please hit that like button. Please tell a friend. All that stuff. Subscribe, like, yada yada yada, and come and give it Abreu and Mas some competition because they were essentially number 1 and number 2 the entire time. In the live chat, we can't let their egos go unchecked, boys. So, anytime you guys have the opportunity to join the live chat, it'd be much appreciated. We will talk to you guys next time. Laters. Oh yes, Gyokeres. That's my boy Ryan.
Right foot this time, Martin Odegaard.
Zinchenko from Ketty. Martinelli tiptoeing in. Perfect. There is a gorgeous arrogance about Arsenal now.
It really is. They are enjoying every second of this.